Call meeting order. Thank you. Pointing that out. I appreciate it. No, he's not. All right, secretary, call the roll, please.
Yes, okay. Shelley,
Here.
Claude,
Yes.
Connie,
Yes.
Rainey,
Here.
Sue, Ally,
Here.
Barbara,
Here.
Joe,
Here.
Curtis,
Here.
Louise. Louise. Debbie. Myra,
Here.
Hank,
Here.
Carl. Ginny. Ginny Weber's not gonna be on. Okay. William,
Here.
Harmon. Here. Brad,
Here.
Jean. Paul.
Yep.
Okay, Mike,
Here.
Andy,
Here.
Joni,
Here.
Rosalie. Here. Elaine, here. And Eric is here, our new general manager. Is Alex there? Yep. Alex, Shane is here, Karino's here, Eileen, is Eileen here? No.
Reno's on his way back. Yeah, we'll get some paperwork. He left it.
Okay,
We'll be back very shortly.
we have 21 present, so we have a quorum.
There are two phone numbers we haven't answered, they're muted.
One is Connie Mason and one is Jean Sanada.
Can you unmute yourself so we can figure out who's who on the phone,
So
please?
Connie answered as present.
She's on the phone.
Well, we got somebody that's unmuted, but they're not, we're
Well,
not talking
it's
on the phone.
either Louise, Debbie, Ginny, or Jean.
*6 for who's muted.
We still don't know who's on the phone. And if you're on the phone, please let us know who you are, please.
Connie Mason.
Right? And who else? We'll have somebody that's there muted on the phone. We're not sure who they are. All right, so we'll pick that up.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Another vote. We're trying to get them in, yeah.
26 members.
They have to unmute themselves to tell us who they are. Because
Send them a text.
can you find out, what's the phone number?
Ends in 192. 954.
It's a 954 number?
Yes, last three digits is 192.
We're just trying to find out who the other person on the phone is, so. Until they unmute themselves and tell us, we're just guessing. You can operate as 954-860-0192.
Okay, that's Gene.
Is that his number?
Yeah.
Okay, that's Gene Sinatra. So Gene has not answered that he's here, but he's on the phone.
Hi.
You gotta hit *6 to unmute.
All right, *6 to unmute yourself, Gene.
And I just want to let everybody know, these microphones, you're talking or whispering, everybody hears it. Everybody, like I hear 10 conversations right now. It's all these microphones.
With your microphone.
If you're talking to one another, everybody hears.
You can hear it 10? Are you gonna keep your mind straight?
I hear
Voices?
at least 7 people talking in.
So now we got too much. Just understand that now we have a better microphone system. We don't have to worry about passing anything around. We appreciate Jane being able to hook these up so that we could be heard on our broadcast. There was some confusion when we got the paperwork out. It was given out by Carol Mazza accidentally as a special board meeting. This was not a special board meeting. Never was a special board meeting. It was a regular board meeting. We were gonna have last Wednesday that we postponed to this Wednesday so that we could try to take care of some business. All right, so first order, approving the minutes, there was a correction in the minutes. Elaine, can you let them know about the correction? About, as far as the motion regarding, that was postponed.
Oh, yeah, we postponed, the motion to, amend the 5-day term of time for documents for board members to 10. And it said, we're postponing it to the next meeting, and it got changed to the next, regular board meeting in September.
That was when we postponed it, that was, at that time, that was the next scheduled board meeting with the September board.
I think there's another correction, and Hank, didn't you say there's some corrections in the golf schedule?
It's not so much a correction, it's an omission that the times of the leagues were not stipulated as far as 12 o'clock tee times in December and November and December, and 1 o'clock tee times in January, February, and March. That was not stipulated in the minutes, and it was voted upon and agreed upon.
Well, it's difficult because I got 3 different schedules.
Right, and then we had conversations about that, about having,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
if I may, we are reformatting that schedule. And that'll be ready tomorrow or the day after.
Okay, so, yeah, there was just a correction where it talked about the actual starting time.
Michael, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm not sure if everybody else is having problems here. The volume seems to be quite
Yes,
low. Can we turn the volume up?
Yes, thank you.
Point of order here, Mike.
Yeah,
On the live TV, you got last month's meeting being played at the same time as tonight's.
have any idea what?
I mean, I know they're probably gonna shut it off. Yeah, the meeting playing, but
Is she still over there?
That was from Patty Tripodi. She said last month's meeting is on TV.
Okay. All right. I'll check that out.
Okay.
Something just.
Can I get a confirmation that Mr. Carino, Pacella said that there was going to be an adjustment to the minutes concerning the tee off times?
We will
The
get
two
that.
times.
Still, facility talk about his
We're going to adjust this.
Just something to say, okay, Hank, send me an email specifying what the corrections are. And Garino, when you get the changes made, can you show them to me? I just want to confirm that it's correct. And I'd like to postpone the approval of the minutes from June's meeting until our next board meeting, whether it's a regular in September or before.
We'll be sending them back. Is that what you're saying with the correction? All right, so, right.
It wasn't a matter of a correction, it was just an omission.
Okay. We'll correct. We'll correct.
We'll take care of it.
Thank you.
Takes a motion, Mike, to postpone the minutes, or you can do it by unanimous consent.
Well, I think we're trying to get correction here, so you're saying I need a motion to,
Or ask for unanimous consent.
I'm sorry,
Ask for unanimous consent.
can we, all right, table the minutes till next meeting or next board meeting?
second.
All right, anybody disagree with tabling the minutes till the next board meeting? Please raise your hand. All right, so we'll table meetings, the minutes till the next board. All right, you all received the treasurer's report, but I'm giving the treasurer and also the financial secretary opportunity to read their reports tonight if they'd like to.
Yes.
Joni,
I'll pass as well. It's published in the Hollybrook
and the board already received a copy.
I believe it's also on, the newly published. The Voice, okay? And committee reports would like to give an update tonight.
Mike, can I make an announcement, though? You skipped the announcements.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's very brief. I just want to alert people to save the date. We're going to have in Hollybrook a Healthy Living Expo on November 15th from 10 o'clock in the morning till 1 o'clock. And the vendor is going to provide a DJ, raffle prizes, and lunch for residents who attend this Healthy Living Expo. Again, save the date, November 15th from 10 to 1, and it will be in our Playhouse.
Is that different from what we normally have once a year?
Yes.
Yes, it's a little different. In addition to this, I will coordinate with Memorial and do a flu clinic probably towards the end of October, but those will be two separate events.
The committee would like to give a report. All right, Carl?
Thank you, Mr. President. Last Thursday, we had our first landscape committee meeting and just discussed how we're Star Lawn's contract. It's over 2 days ago, at the end of July. We're extending that for 1 month. And we have 3 or 4 landscaping committees that have put in bids and
Honey, can I put the my earphones on this?
and then we're going to interview them individually, and obviously they're going to be handed the contract before the end. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
On the restaurant committee report, if you would check the treasurer's report on the last paragraph, that is where the restaurant report is. But if there's any questions in that, you can either call me or ask me questions anytime you need to. Thank you.
Well, anything else? Brian? All right. And there was a steering committee meeting. Found out for tomorrow that it's out in the air. It will at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so steering committee next week. That's going to be the 10th, the week from tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Thank you. Okay. All right. All other committee reports, we're going to go on to new business.
Mike, 40-year committee?
40 years.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Joe?
Yeah, the 40-year committee?
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to say that the 40-year committee has met with Eric, the new general manager, and has brought him up to speed on our activities over the last several months. From this point forward, he'll be directing the staff and contractor efforts and regarding implementation of the program. We also met on July 10th with Batista Engineering to kick off the next phase of the design work for the remainder of the buildings in Hollybrook, to do designs and come up with cost estimates over the next 7 or 8 months. As I said before, we received bids for 3 buildings plus some additional work that are being reviewed, references being checked, and we have interviews with the contractors on August 8th. And then we hope to, once financing is secured, we hope to be able to have recommendations for an award from that point on. And that's it. Thank you.
Question?
Yes.
Yeah, Claude.
How are we doing with the city? Are they kept abreast of our work, and are they tracking with us?
Well, I'm going to let Mike answer that for the most part, but from our standpoint, everything that gets done at this point gets run past the city, and there will be permits for all of the work that occurs on the next 3 buildings. But Mike there's been some difficulties communicating on past practices. And Mike, maybe you want to speak to that, or Eric, perhaps?
Well, we're trying to reach out and to get information that we need the most important thing is that we've gotten approval for phase one. We've been told that we can go on to our phase two, which is where we are right now, trying to move forward with our construction. We're still trying to get documents so that when we can certify buildings 50 and 51, that can be done. So trying to work with the city and their contracted company that does the permits it's just taking a little bit longer than it really should, but we're being patient as we possibly can. All right, any other committees that I've missed? I really apologize, Joe. So, all right, on to new business, motion A. Yep, Shane.
Like, Gene disconnected, but there's another phone number on here. So I don't know if that's Gene or not, you may want to speak with them.
Okay, I'm not seeing the number or who it is up there that's
64.
they're still muted though, right?
No, they're not muted.
They're not muted, so whoever's on the phone, can you let us know who they are, please? We don't.
You hear me, Gene? You hear Gene?
Is that Gene? I just heard Gene.
Connie
How do you use the
Mason.
other phone?
Connie Mason, that's the only two people, right? All right, we're also hearing the feedback from everybody on Zoom that's been now being broadcast. So everybody, if you would, just try to minimize any noise that you have around you or mute while we're reading the motions. That way we can make sure that it's broadcast properly. Okay, so motion A. I'm going to turn it over to Sue Galetta, phase two director.
I move that the board amend the following language in the index of charges for use of common facilities. 1, to amend paragraph D to read, each unit allowed 2 events per calendar year. Number 2, to amend by adding security detail at $30 per hour per person. Event security will be coordinated by the chief of security.
Need a microphone.
We can't hear anything.
3, to amend by deleting language in outside events to read outside events. Is that better?
A little bit, not much.
All right, then we're gonna try to, it's this new microphone system, we're trying to get accustomed to it, so we're gonna do that the best we can. All right, do we have a second?
I second it.
Second by Rosalie, all right? Back up, please.
Number 1, the amendment language is in compliance with Rule 7, stating that each unit, each resident in the unit is entitled to reserve a common facility 2 times in total per calendar year. 2 and 3, the association should be making decisions as to what is required to meet the security requirements regarding events.
Any questions regarding this? Yeah, William?
Yes, Mr. President, question on, really number 3, the association should be making decisions. Who in association is making those decisions?
Are you talking about number 3 in the backup?
Yes,
Okay, that's going to be either the general manager or the person that's making the reservations for
okay.
okay, so. All right, so yes, Paul?
The event security will be coordinated by the chief of security.
Correct.
So if Mike Dorado makes a plan for security, for the number of people, where they're needed and what's they're needed, his plan is not the plan. It has to go back to all deviations or exceptions must receive approval of the approval manager. So whatever the security plan is, it has to go back to the approval manager to get approved, to go back to Mike to make sure the security plan is secure or something like that. I mean,
The approval manager ahead of time, before it even goes to Mike Dorado security, as to what security needs they may or may not have, because the number of people that they're going to have attending the event or participating in the event.
I get that. So you have 80 people. That goes to Mike. And then Mike draws the plan after he knows 80 people will be there and the hours it's going to be.
Whether or not,
Then goes back to the approval manager.
I'll go back to the room. they will then, whoever is renting the venue will be responsible for paying Toronto's plan. The amount of $30 per person per hour.
Too big.
So.
Where's the accountability on Mike's?
Why would it need to go back to the person that originally set the?
I don't know. It's got kind of confusing that he's making the plan, that they're telling him to make the plan. And then if there's a deviation, it goes back.
But that's not a deviation.
Well, what do you mean a deviation? They can make a deviation.
No.
If Mike is in charge, why isn't he just making the plan and that's it? He knows how many security guys, he knows how much money.
It's not going, it doesn't say it's going back to the other person, Nikki in this case. It's saying it's going to Toronto, who is the chief of security.
Okay, then also it doesn't go back to, the association is out of that too. In other words, we're not involved in the security.
But in the back, if you're going to the word the back, it's talking about if there's any need for any discussion or it has to be approved through the general manager or through the president or somebody, then it would come to us. But if they're saying they're gonna have 100 people and Mike Corrado says he needs 2 people, then they're gonna be notified. They're paying for 2 security people, $30 per hour for the length of the event that they're having. We've also reached out to, just so you're aware, we've also reached out to the Pembroke Pines Police Department. If it's an event that's big enough that needs a law enforcement presence, we will work out that cost will be incurred by the person making the reservation of the group.
Okay, so our security chief is really not the final. He's presenting plans, if there's any changes, it has to go back to him, then he has to make the changes. But I mean, it says the association should be making decisions required for security requirements.
Did you want to say something?
Yes, Mike can submit a plan and pass it by the general manager or the approving authority. That's just protocol.
Yeah, we're gonna decide, it's just saying, that's what it's just talking about. The association is gonna make decisions as to what we think is gonna be required. And then work with Mike Chilado, the chief of security.
Okay.
Mr. President, can I make a suggestion here? That I like what you said, but I think there's a disconnect here a little bit because chief security will make his plan. The association should say association should review Mike's plan and confirm that it's acceptable, because then you think it's too much. There should be some sort of check and balance here. That's my thought.
And I, Mr. President, may I speak?
Yes, please.
I think we're confusing the language of the motion with the backup. Because the backup is what talks about the association making the decision. The language of the motion is dealing only with the fact that there has to be a security presence and that there's going to be a fee attached to it. Okay, the logistics of how it's going to work, this is something new that's going to be put out, and we'll do some trial and error in developing how that's going to function. The plan is that security will set up some kind of a protocol. Eric will review it. If there's a problem with it, if it's not going to work, if it's too much or too little, we will remedy it. But the issue is the motion itself deals with the setting up of the practice of having a security officer present at a function.
Then, if I can get it clear again. We had no, putting this in, we had no security for any event that was put on here. Any rental or anything else. There was no security involved.
Never had it before.
Okay.
It was never a requirement.
It was never a requirement. Okay.
Well, that's what
It
the problem
was required,
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Like you said, it depended on how many people were gonna be. We had an event that was one of the couple of large events, and we hired a few Pembroke Pines policemen to control the event, and they also are security directed the cars, so they went to the playhouse And that they need, so we have had security guards and Central Pines policemen.
Oh, the difference is that this is now required.
Okay, that's the difference. Okay,
The
that's it.
difference is that you've never had it at night before, period.
I didn't know
Okay,
that.
you've never, there's nowhere in any writing that security is talked about for any event that has been in our facility.
But when
We've never had before now. You've got a category for outside event, totally outside. That's where we
So
brought in
that's-
the need to make sure we have security.
Where is that?
Because of the fact that outside events, that's the last number 3. All right, it's reading outside events, and that will be handled, that be dealt with more on the next one. You got one more chance.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I think that I was bringing up and Rosalie made a comment. Number 2 up above. I would consider, I'd like to make a friendly amendment, say coordinated by the chief of security and reviewed by association.
It's our. The
Not in there.
association's already set that, that's why in the
That's it.
backup, the association's setting the parameters. Before he even gets the chance to even set the.
I'm sorry, that's not what it says. I'm sorry, but okay, that's fine.
The association should be making the decisions, it's not saying.
No,
Is that what you're saying? That's not saying that? In the back there?
But the motion is not the back.
Right, so you want that,
On the motion, because she told me it's in the backup, so it's not in the motion.
Friendly amendment.
so.
You want to make an amendment, you want to amend it to include.
Reviewed by association, so that matches the backup.
Okay, do we have?
Do you have that?
Hello, I agree with it.
You can't speak out.
I'm not allowed to speak.
No.
Not yet.
Signed up.
You know what's happening?
Opportunity, you signed up to talk about a motion, you can do. All right, so you're asking for a friendly amendment.
Friendly amendment is looking at it, and we have by association.
Do we have a second for the friendly amendment? Okay, all right, any more discussion about the wording that should be on this? You want to have it? Yes, Paul, but
Where is it going? Is it going in Tennis Club condominium index or is it going in rules clubhouse facility? Where's this?
it's going on to that added to.
That's, Mr. President, that's an issue, there's a motion. And we have to deal with the motion.
Motion to amend, so it's going right to security at the direction of the association. Is that what you're asking for?
It says coordinated by the chief of security on number 2 and reviewed by association.
And reviewed by association.
That's
Okay,
it.
okay. Do you have a?
I think you need a clarification as to the association. Who in the association are
General manager.
the general manager, the board?
Say gentlemen.
Specify, please.
All right, so further clarification would be the general manager.
Yeah.
The general manager or the board.
Yeah.
General manager or the board is your wording that you want or no?
Yeah, just say yes.
I think the association is pretty clear.
I'm happy with the association.
I think that's pretty clear that association. That we're representing the association right now, so.
I'm happy with that.
I mean, we can sit down and hash out all day. 99 people, we need 101. Okay, so.
We're
So
done.
this is the association. Yeah, go ahead, Carmen, you just sit over there again, I can't read. No, don't do that, don't, it should work. It should work. Go ahead. No, just start me out.
Security, $30 per security. How many security? How is that determined?
That's determined by the size of the event. Okay, so that's the discussion that the association will decide, and then the chief will set a plan.
If we have to have a meeting every time there's an event to
Is
do the
that
security.
I see outside that's. Dance party. If it's a Holbrook event, no. If it's- Unless we decide that we, for some reason that we've done it so large that we want to make sure we have. We can always address that.
So this doesn't even include.
Case by case.
We need no security for us.
So it's not.
Well, that's really the same. We don't.
All right, so we're gonna vote on the friendly amendment to the wording on motion A, one way on number 2. And it's gonna read to amend by adding security detail at $30 per hour per person. Event security will be coordinated by the chief of security at the direction of the association.
And review. And review.
And review at the direction. And review. Okay, and review. Okay. And reviewed by the association.
It's a good one. We want.
Recording secretary, would you take a vote on the amended
Question.
version of the motion?
Shelley,
Yes.
Juan,
Yes.
Connie,
yes,
Rainey,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Ally,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Joe,
yes,
Curtis,
Yes.
Myra,
Yes.
okay. Hank,
Yes.
Carl, William,
Yes.
Carmen. I'm abstaining. Brad,
Yes.
Jean,
yes,
Paul,
Abstain.
Mike,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes, yes,
Joni,
Yes.
Rosalie.
Yes.
Elaine. Yes. And we have instructions.
Okay, so the amendment carried. All right, so now. Any further discussion on the motion itself?
Yes.
All right, Claude,
Where does
Thank
it?
you. We are now moving from unit owners being allowed to rent out the facilities to units. Does that mean that the lessees can now rent?
well, the wording talks about as far as each unit is allowed 2 events per calendar year. All right, it's the owner of the unit.
No, because the rights of the owner carry to the lessees for a given unit.
It's saying the owner, so if the owner is renting, aren't we giving the control? We're giving the rights to the renter, correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
So I'm basically want to clarify that the lessees will now be able to rent twice a year for that unit.
they would, yes. It's one
Point of
unit,
clarification.
not however many people are in the unit. It's just the unit itself. Yes,
Point of information.
Yep.
Yes, Claude does have a point. Currently, the declaration states that when a unit is leased, a lessee shall have all the use rights in the common elements otherwise available for use generally by unit owners. Okay, I believe that the board should consider amending the language in motion A, paragraph D of the existing index of charges by adding each unit is allowed 2 events per calendar year while an owner is in residence in the unit.
That would eliminate.
That would eliminate the lessees if that's what you want to do.
All right, so is that what you're asking that we do? I mean, because if I lease my unit for 6 months, and during that 6 months, my leasee uses the 2 times for that unit, then
That
when
can
I come back in the whatever off season, I'm not gonna have the opportunity to, because I lost it to my leasee.
That's not fair.
I'm not suggesting anything, Mr. Chairman. I'm just basically stating an issue that needs to be resolved by this board.
So, all right, so Q has given us a suggestion to change the wording.
Right.
But is anybody? Brad?
I would think common sense would dictate that if we're charging for these events, do we really care if as long as they don't go over the 2, we're making money.
but they don't get to. But they do that.
All right. That's it.
I have a question.
All right, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
just, I'm just asking the question is there such a strong demand that we need to limit it to 2 per person, or is that done to make it fair so that if somebody else who's already had 2 and then there's no more availability, it makes room for others, or is like, because it, like someone just mentioned, this is revenue opportunity.
All right. but
So
you-
why are we limiting it to 2 per year?
Yes, please.
Okay, the purpose is, Shelley, what you said initially. There are 1,902 units, so in order to give everyone an equitable opportunity to rent, you have to limit it so that I don't use 10 times and you're precluded from using it. So
Right.
it's the established practice that was done and it works.
And so what happens if I've already, if a member has done, used both of theirs and there is availability, can they then book it again?
Don't get the unit on the rate.
Pardon?
They don't get the discounted rate.
Oh, this is,
If there's a discount per unit owner, that's what they're referring to is. If they've gone over the 2, then they don't get the discounted rate for the use of the facility.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. I don't see where it says that, but that makes sense.
Motion.
All right.
Yes, I think we need to clarify, you made a good point. If I rent my place out for 6 months and they use 2, then I come back, I don't have any of that. I don't think that's fair. So somehow we gotta put some language in for that.
That's what goes back to Mr. Guarino's suggestion as to, but I can't make that recommendation to the amendment to the words here, so.
Can I do that?
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
To amend, section 1 to read that, could you repeat it for me, Guido? And give it to Elaine?
Each unit is allowed 2 events per calendar year, while an owner or owners is residing in the unit. There's also a dark side to this and why this was brought up in the first place about a unit having 2 units, 2 tries at this per year. Unit owners were actually going into business, selling our venue to outside events to the tune of like 6 and 7 a year. The impetus behind this rule in the first, just so you know.
So we're meeting on my,
All right, Brendan, thank you. All right, so got any discussion regarding this section of the motion as amended? You need to hear the suggested words again.
okay, each unit is allowed 2 events per year while an owner resides in the unit.
Per calendar year.
Per calendar
Per
year.
calendar year.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, so let me clarify again. If a unit is sold, is rented for the full year, that means that the renter can book the venue. Am I correct, Carino?
Say that one more time.
Is that kind of like a year-round rental? Year-round rental.
A year rounder does not have the, under this, the year-round lessee does not have any rights to rent a venue. No.
Why not, Carino?
Because
I mean, legally, the way your amendment reads, if a unit is actually occupied by an owner for any part of the year, then the owner has the two events rights.
Correct.
If the owner doesn't reside in the unit, then it's the lessee that has a right by virtue of the law and by virtue of our own declaration.
What great. The language of the amendment eliminates the lessee, correct?
No, it does not.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, he's saying by law that if the lessee is the only occupant for the year, that the lessee would be able to get the right to use for 2 times.
So can we make a provision that the lessee who rents it on a full-time basis with the authority from the owner can rent the facility?
You don't need the authority from the owner. It's the law. The law says that the lessee carries all of the rights of the owner. So if the lessee basically is there for the whole year, the owner doesn't have the right. It's the lessee that has the right. I mean, that's the law.
And then,
Correct. Well,
So do we need to change the wording on the amendment to cover that, or we good with the fact that if we have a year-round lessee, the owner is not gonna have the rights to set, to use the,
the owner can intercede for the lessee at any point in time. We don't even need that.
all right, yes. Go ahead, Carmen.
I have a question. Simple. Yeah, it's too complicated. If you are an owner or you're renting and you want to have an affair, you got security, that's gonna be for you. Why don't you get a book or put it on a computer? Somebody wants to take this date. Okay, that date is taken. Somebody else wants to take that date, or you can't have that date because it's taken. Choose another one.
We already,
Money coming into our play.
we have, there is a schedule, there is a, to be booked. There's no conflict. We're just trying to get the words, somebody is asking that we change the wording so that it's now, we're adding that it's only the owner or owners when they reside that they get their 2 times.
But why just 2 times?
We're making.
Because you have to.
Because again, it goes back to, if somebody comes in there and uses it 40 times, if we don't put a restriction on it.
No, because if someone comes and they're always, well, you don't have that day, you already had, it's just. You have to give everybody an opportunity to have it. There's 1,902 people, so you have to give everybody the same opportunity. So you can't, that's why you have to limit it.
You also have owners that have multiple units, and this precludes them from using it. If they're renting, they can't use it 19 times because they have 19 units. I'm making a point.
Somebody did in the
Only
past.
when they're actually residing in a unit that they can actually make reservations.
I have a question.
Sure.
If, somebody owns 5 or 6 units and they can only use it twice, even though they're paying all those fees?
The unit.
Okay. Oh, I thought you said something
Well,
different.
and then it goes back to whether or not they're actually residing.
So that's
where the wording is about owner and owner, the right residing in the unit.
I have 6 units here and I'm only residing in 1. I'm precluded from renting it 12 times.
You're not gonna get the discount for the other 10. You'll get 2 times that the owner rents.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because
That's not what it says, though. It says per unit.
you're right, because you're
Correct. I'm just saying the word we just changed.
It says resides.
It's saying while the owner or owners are actually residing in the unit. So
You only reside in the
in the unit. So you only get the 2 a year discounted rate for the 1 unit you're residing in, not for the other 5. But you have full-time residents in the others, they get to use it 2 times a year because they're a lessee for the entire year. Okay, correct.
Can I just throw in a few words? I think there's a lot of confusion in this motion completely. And the way it stands, I don't think that any rephrasing of it is going to be operational until more thought has been put into the motion and how to phrase it properly. And I think we're spinning our wheels here, taking up time, trying to do it when it should be done in a more organized manner.
Can't hear you.
Didn't hear me?
We heard you. Can't hear Mike.
I hear you, I agree.
Mike, can't hear you, Mike.
All right, we just have to call the question. So this section of the motion first, either yes or no, that we have wording in the change. And the wording would be to amend each unit is allowed 2 events per calendar year, while owner or owners are residing in the unit, is the way that the wording is right now. Okay, can we have a vote on this as amended?
Sorry, I'm confused. Are you referring to Carino's
Yes,
proposed wording now?
yes.
Yes, that's the discussion, and it was seconded, that wording, and then call the question, so we have to vote on that amended.
So that's an amendment. You're actually asking to vote on the amendment that Carino proposed.
He said, question, so we have an amendment in process, so we have to clear up this amendment first.
Who has moved that amendment, Mike?
I'm sorry, what, Juan?
Who has moved that amendment, Mike? I'm not clear. I mean, Carino proposed it, but who has moved it?
And it was second.
Thank you.
Well, I moved and William seconded it.
All right, so we're voting on the wording as amended.
He amended. Amended.
Just call the roll.
Okay, Shelley,
Abstain. I don't understand what's going on.
Juan,
Yes,
Connie,
Abstain.
Rainey,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Ally,
You're muted, Ally.
yeah, Ally.
Thumbs up or thumbs down? Ally, you did, no?
No,
Yes.
okay, Barbara,
Abstain.
Joe,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Myra,
Yes, pretty clear to me.
Hank,
No,
Carl,
Rich State.
William,
Yes.
Carmen, Brad,
Yes.
Jean,
Abstain.
Paul,
No,
Mike,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Joni. Can't hear you, Joni. You're muted.
Muted.
I'm sorry. No,
Rosalie, yes. Elaine, yes. Okay. Amended motion has 10 yeses, 4 noes, and 5 abstentions.
Okay, now, all right,
do we have a quorum? The abstentions don't count for quorum, so it's 14 votes.
13, yes.
13.
Yes, we can 13, yes.
Okay, we're good.
I'm gonna call the motion. All right. This is the motion to amend language in the index of charges for use of common facilities. I move that the board amend the following language in the index of charges for use of common facilities. 1, to amend paragraph D to read each unit is allowed 2 events per calendar year while owner or owners are residing in the unit. 2, to amend by adding security detail at $30 per hour per person. Event security will be coordinated by security and to be reviewed by the association. 3, to amend by deleting the language in outside events to read outside events. Can we call a roll for the motion, please?
Can I just ask a question? Are we,
Yes.
is somebody who rents a unit allowed to book one of these rooms,
Yes, if he rents for a year.
Year-round VC.
but not a seasonal?
No,
Correct.
That's the wording that we changed, that we just voted on.
They can't, it's different rates, right?
All right. All right, so vote on the motion as amended, please.
Shelley,
No,
Claude,
yes. With trepidation.
Barney,
No.
Rainey,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Ally,
No.
Barbara. Barbara,
Yes.
okay, Joe,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Myra,
Yes.
Hank,
No,
Carl, William,
Yes.
Carmen, Brad,
Yes.
Jane,
Abstain.
Paul,
No,
Mike,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Joni,
No,
Rosalie. Yes. Elaine, yes. And we have 14 yes, six no, and 2 abstentions. The motion.
Motion Motion ain't passed.
okay, that's the question,
Yes, sir.
where does it go? Does it go into, the index charges for use of common facilities, or does it go in clubhouse facilities rule 7?
Into the index.
It's a what?
Into the index. Index.
It goes into the index.
Yeah, it says in the motion, index. Says in the index. Doesn't it say,
In the index.
language in the
charges.
index? Yeah. Right at the top line, right? Yeah.
So
That's where it
that's
goes.
all new. This is all new. Okay.
Okay, all right, motion B, and I know Sue, I'm putting you under.
wait, Mike, can I ask a question?
Yeah, Tony,
The thing that bothers me about what we just did is I think it violates our own rules and procedures. When we rent a unit, we give all the rights of the owner to the renter. And by doing this, I think it violates all the other rules and regulations in our documents. We're now abridging or taking away rights of the renters that belong to them. And that's why I voted no. And I still think what we did today is wrong. I just don't see how we can, when you say that each unit can rent it, and a renter has the same rights as the owner while they're in residency, I think what we just passed violates our own documents.
May I answer that?
Yes,
I mean-
please.
I understand the point that you're making because I'm the one that made the point originally. What we did basically is that in situations where a unit is rented on a seasonal basis, the owner has a first right to make a booking for the rest of the season. So we're not removing the right of the renter. If the owner does not rent, presumably the renter could. So we are not removing a right. We're basically giving a primary right for the 6 months, let's say for the sake of the argument, that the owner is in residence to rent for twice a year, the unit. So, it's a fine point. This is why I insisted that if the unit is rented on a yearly basis, then all of the rights go to the renter, and the renter can basically book twice a year. But in the situation where basically he or she rents for 2 months, let's say for the sake of the argument,
Okay.
and the other 10 months, the owner is in residence, the owner has a first right of refusal, if you want to put that way, or first right of renting. So I don't think we're in contravention of our own rules. I don't think we're in contravention of the law, but we're walking a fine line. I admit that.
Keep going. All right, we've already voted on this is passed. We're moving on to motion.
Thank you.
All right, Sue Galetta, please.
Make this one easier.
Oh, yeah, right.
I move that the board approve updating the fees in the index of charges for use of common facilities as follows. For Hollybrook units, Playhouse, $500, Social Hall, $200. For candidates of political office, Playhouse, $600, Social Hall, $300. Civic, fraternal, state or federal groups, organizations, only if approved by the approval manager, Playhouse, $600, Social Hall, $250. For outside events, Playhouse, $1,000, Social Hall, $500. For deposit for the Social Hall, $250. Seconded.
Right, thank you, Rosalie.
I got 3 others.
All right, we have 2 letters regarding this motion.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is from Judd Rossi, Building 35, Unit 104. It is my understanding that rental rates have not changed in 15 or 20 years. $500 in today's world is only worth a fraction of what $500 would buy 20 years ago. I flew in to attend the July 4th celebration at the Playhouse. It was a fabulous night of entertainment and dancing. Downsides were the roof leaking, water was actually dripping from the ceiling and a sound speaker fell out of the ceiling onto the dance floor while we were dancing. Luckily, no one was injured. I was told the sound and lighting systems need upgraded and or replaced. Stage curtains are decades old, deteriorating and moldy, needed replaced. No vote should be taken on this issue until an in-depth study is done that would reveal, I'm pretty certain, the money-making possibilities that would make the facility more than self-sufficient. If we don't address issues like this in a more fiscally responsible manner, we will all pay the penalty of increased sales. It's from Bob and Sandra Strongman, Building 27, Apartment 210. It is brought to our attention that we could possibly get a higher rental stairs room. As Hollywood needs to generate more income this season, we are in favor of increasing the rental keeping below what other avenues charge. And this is the last one. Mellow Pool, Building 64, Apartment 209. It has come to my attention that our room rentals at Hollybrook are not consistent with the other rentals in the area. With our community looking for ways to increase our income, it would be board to reconsider what we are charging. Any amount above our current income would be the best interest of the community as a whole. As a board, this is your job. In addition, if there is someone that is familiar with the rental market, they should be in charge. The markets are ever changing and inflation in and of itself would constitute increases. So.
So we did backup. We have a second on this motion?
Yeah, I seconded it.
I do the backup, please. Can you read the backup?
Do I have to read the charges on the next page?
No, just the backup.
Okay. Please see the attached existing fee schedule for the board to compare the proposed motion. Whereas catering cuisine is under a restaurant income category, pricing for catering is not included in the schedule for the use of common facilities.
Bob?
Yeah, I have a question. How do we come up with these prices for the Playhouse and the Social Hall?
We set with our coordinator and hashed out as far as what would be reasonable increases and what we currently have. We try to have a starting point with the numbers and covering as many different variations of events as possible. And we intentionally kept the numbers low because it's easier to go up than it is to be too high, let it come down. So changing and going up over the future, when we realize that we can use our, especially for outside events, then we can always increase the price much easier.
And my purpose of asking that question was to, so you will be able to answer the two residents that questioned us about those the prices involved.
Okay, well, again, we're not addressing their.
I understand.
Understand that, yes. We reached out to other venues and we know that our prices are lower than other venues. This is a new thing for Hollywood. Never actually advertised for outside events to come in. It's always been at the behest of an owner or somebody related to bring in an event in. So I would rather spend some money in advertising so that we get our name out there and then hope that we show that our $1,000 is way too low and then we can raise it to 2 or 25 or whatever competitive at the top. So putting too high a number in itself is a detriment. Right. So we're trying to come up with, that's where we came up with some numbers. All right. Go ahead, William.
Yes. My concern that I respect that, Mr. President, the $1,000 is a starting point, but I think from a strategic standpoint of getting some expertise to analyze, there's so many different types of events, conventions, graduations, other events, it could be a bar mitzvah, whatever it may, a wedding. I think we are limiting ourselves to just not, we should be back and getting a committee to different types of events and try to get, and they can be lower than the market, but $1,000 by itself, I think doesn't do justice for going forward.
The cost, the $1,000 cost is for a set period of time. It's not determined what time of the day, it's for a period of hours. And if they go over that, there's a charge. If they don't use it all, it doesn't matter, they've already paid it. Okay, so as far as I understand what you're saying, you're basically you're asking for us to continue to ask the same questions of the venues that are around us. The same, just have other people ask those questions. The same questions. What do you charge for your banquet facility? Which we've done.
For example, last year, somebody wanted to do bar mitzvah here. We said we can't do it. They went somewhere else and paid like $11,000. Okay, so we should be looking and having internally some analysis of these different types of events and what we can potentially charge instead of just having the carte blanche 1,000. That's my thought.
Just throwing out a number, $10,000. Majority of that was probably food and entertainment and everything along the other side. Okay, the venue is all we're talking about. Food is not part of what we're talking about. That is a separate food and beverage goes through our restaurant. Everything that comes in here goes through our restaurant. Culture code.
The motion is the word updating. We have no baseline and no baseline has been looked at, except that I started to look at it months ago. And we have to go ahead and take a look at some cost of what the baseline is for areas around us. I came up with 21 different areas. I did not get into it because this came up 2 days ago and I only got to 2. The Charles Dodd Center, if you want to get in there, it costs you $3,500. There's no food, no nothing. This is just a venue and we have to get a baseline. If you need a half a day, it's $1,750. If you're looking at the social hall, which is our social hall, the minimum price here at West Broward Center is $1,200 for 4 hours. And if you want an extra hour, it's $125 an hour, whether it's before or after the event. And this is what we have to look at. These are the baselines we have to look at. And we have to get some type of a number to say, now we are updating ourselves to the area around us, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's Miramar, or whether it's here at Pembroke Pines. Also included in this is not just the playhouse, and it's not just the social hall. We have 10 rooms in the clubhouse Now, that is also in our Rule 7 clubhouse facilities. We have rooms sitting there empty. They are empty and can be used. How they can be used, they can be rented. I also checked into this, which is very easy on the internet. Some of our large rooms can be rented at $250 an hour. The smaller rooms can go for anywhere from $40 to $50 an hour. So if someone doesn't have to have an event, they just have to have a meeting in our clubhouse. This is another area where you have to get a baseline because we have no idea, and neither does the director now of leasing all these places have any idea of a charge to charge for an hourly rate. So again, there's no baseline and there's nothing for anybody to go by. We're flying by the seat of our pants here. You're actually not doing updating. You're staying where we are and say, let's make $25. We're looking at what we have and saying, let's not be too ambitious here and go. But we don't know whether we can get ambitious or whether we can stay where we are because we have no baseline going forward to accommodate any type of decision on this motion. I'd like to have it, and we'll see after everybody discuss, but this needs a big postponement for investigation to find out where we are and what we're doing.
Can I get some of your numbers there, Mr. Cody?
What do you want?
You said $3,500 for the dog center.
$3,500 half rental per day, $1,750.
Okay, right there.
For that.
$1,750 per half day. We're only renting ours for $1,000 for 4 hours max. Okay, so we could rent it twice.
Let me ask me a question, and you're not letting me finish. You said, what are the numbers? It's $3,500 a day and $1,750 the day before that if you go in to decorate or do anything else. So now you are at $3,200.
Yeah. Yes.
The Dodge Center is a facility that's maybe less than 5 years old and is in a magnificent condition with all kinds of wonderful accoutrements, okay? What we're looking at here is upgrading the system that we currently have and trying to get it so that we can be a little more realistic in the funding on it. For us to even approach any kind of a subject or a price that Paul is making reference to, we need new chairs, we need a new curtain, we need lighting systems, and we need a sound system. So I think let's be practical about what we're doing. We're looking at upgrading so that we can have a standard pricing that we can utilize without the encumbrances that we have with the restaurant charges. We now have a flat statement that all rentals must utilize the restaurant. No more non-catering or catering prices. It cleared that aspect of it. We raised the prices a little bit so that we could become a little more competitive. But in order for us to attain the kind of numbers that you're making reference to, Paul, we need to spend a lot of money in that playhouse before we can get there. So I think this is the first step. If we get where we're supposed to go, we get it organized, we get it done so that we no longer have the problems of wondering about catering, then we're making the right progress. Let's not encumber this with minutia at this point. And when we get to the point that we are, okay.
Yeah. Was question they were was asked for me.
I'm looking to see if anybody else has one question.
Oh, I thought you was directing questions to me.
All right, Curtis.
I appreciate what Paul is pointing out, but I'm sitting here looking at this. And I would question how much I would pay. So there really needs to evaluation. I'm the first ones to say, we need to generate revenue. But we need to spend some money to make this place look presentable so that we can get revenue. I will say one of the things that concerns me, in my experience of seeing things when they are at a lower price, the clientele that tends to come into that lower venue may need more than one security guard. So that's an issue that concerns me. And then the other would be, I'm very curious about how the food thing's gonna work out as far as us catering.
But sometimes it's best to be a little bit lower than the rest of the competition. We'll rent it more often, and that will maybe make up for not getting the top dollar until we do the upgrades, and then maybe we get a committee together and get a schedule, as you pointed out. But in the meantime, we want to, my opinion, grab the whatever income we can when we can until those improvements. But I think you have a valid point to make a list of all the different types of venues and create a schedule that is accurate to the surrounding areas to do comparables, so that we can come in hopefully a little bit under everybody else, and that will steer people towards us for a better price. Thank you.
I sensed a lot of passion and almost anger coming out of some statements. If we remember, seek to understand what people are saying, we're going to come a lot better understanding. Paul is looking strategically about looking at beyond just this. We should have a committee looking at how we can, what can we rent out? This room here, that room, and then we should have that committee also having the subcommittee looking at what's it take to enhance the chairs? What's it going to cost? And not $139 a chair, maybe ones that are good at 50. We need to plan what the things we need to do to upgrade our place, but how can we also generate revenue? This is a start, but I'm afraid we just do this. What are we going to do next? When are we going to do it? When are we going to get a committee to make things happen?
So you're saying that there's no opportunity for in the future for us to add or change or do anything?
I didn't say that.
From the starting point, we're just not gonna go any farther. than that.
No, that's not what I said at all.
That's what I'm trying to get, yeah,
No.
that, okay.
I'm not seeking to listen.
Seeking to understand here, all right, I'm hearing that we need to have a provision for every possibility and for every room on our property. And I guess I'm a little.
Talking about a plan.
Well, yes.
Yeah.
And I think we started with a plan here and we can move forward with changing it better. All it takes is a little work, but you gotta start somewhere. All right, Carmen was next.
Okay, Mike, these prices are for 4 hours only?
It's for yes, it's for 4 hours, and that includes they usually go like 3.5, and then they have a half hour that they shut down.
And if
The time that they shut, well, then there's a charge per hour, there's a charge beyond that, that's all part of the contract that we have. That will have that in there, if they go over the allotted time, then there's a charge for that. If they have more people than they originally started, then we would have to reach out to the Pembroke Pines and have police officers show up. That would be an additional cost for them as well.
If I could see the party going on, it's not just to have a party here, it's just beautiful. Oh, beautiful.
I'm sure that, yes, we could, there's applications for this type of event, yes. Okay, but this is, we're trying to,
Right,
the time constraints mostly is on an outside event,
right.
so. All right,
Mike, can I say,
Shelley Goldett, Shelley,
Yeah, so supply and
Didn't say
demand
that.
often determines what price people are going to pay for something. My question is, how often are these two facilities rented out now? Are they do we get like 1 or 2 events a week, or do we get 1 a month? How many?
know that we have one, I believe it's Friday night up in here. And then Saturday night is in our playhouse. I know that they have one, then of course we have to deal with later on, we'll be talking about another issue, but we had to minimize what we even made available in the month of August because of our plan that we have to take care of our property here. So I don't have our coordinator is not here, so I couldn't tell you, but 2 to 3 times a month would probably be a max that we're right now using the facility under current, and that's only owners that are making these events, or it's a Hollybrook event, like Saturday.
Mike, may I say something, Mike? This
Can
is
I
Gene.
answer a question?
Hold on, somebody is talking. Is that Gene?
Yes, this is Gene, Mike.
Yeah, Gene.
The thing is, the thing on these properties is that you have to find out how much wattage is being used per hour or whatever. That's the way we used to do it in hotels. And then everything else is extra after that. But the wattage is very important. Electricity.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I heard you.
Can I answer her question?
Go ahead, Paul.
I had the same idea and wanted to know, so Alex gave me the figure. In the last 4 months, $1,500. That's for every playhouse and everything. That's 4 months, $1,500.
Close.
You're talking, wait a minute, you're talking about in the last 4 months, that's only generated profit of $1,500?
There's no profit. That's exactly what he said that came in was $1,500.
I would, Alex, are you on, Alex?
Yes, I am.
All right, so the last 4 months, all the events that we've had over the last 4 months, as far as we've only generated $1,500 of revenue.
Yes. And the last year, we had about $7,000 for the entire year that we collect between the rental of the facilities.
And that's the July 4th money that we made on the July 4th. Right?
That's not.
No, that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing. You talk about entertainment.
Renting. Okay, I'm sorry.
This is just the rental of the room.
Renting of the room. Okay.
Yeah.
It's been out of commission for how long?
Too long. It was too long. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right,
Now, can I finish?
one more. Go ahead.
I get one more?
Go ahead. No, I'm just saying, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I guess the number that was picked, I don't say it's $4,000 or $5,000. You asked me for a number. I gave you a number. I'm saying we need some type, again, of a benchmark or some kind of, I've got 23 other places to look at, 23. So when you pick one and say, we can't do this, we can't, that's because we don't know what we can do, because we haven't, again, looked at what we can do with an investigation, with research, with other people pitching in and saying, well, I hear we did this and we did that there. And people calling these other 21 places to find out what is going on. And I agree. The place is a shambles. I'm sorry, the Playhouse is a shambles. You look up at this ceiling. In fact, I know one lady came in, and I know this for a fact. It's not hearsay. She looked at this place and walked out. It was an engagement party. There's no way we have an engagement party in this room. Okay? So sure, it's going to take money to do this and money, but we don't know what it's going to take unless, again, we have a benchmark to look at, somebody to investigate and say, guess what? We can rent all these rooms at whatever price it is in the clubhouse, and we can do this at the Playhouse, and we can do that here. But we have to have some type, again, some type of a starting point. And right now, we don't know what the starting point is. If you think this is a starting point to take whatever you can get and start from here, it's like, okay, let me paint the walls with the holes in them. Then I'll come back later and patch up the holes. It looks pretty good with the holes in it. I don't agree with that. I want to paint and fix the holes all at the same time. That means let's get this thing started on the right foot.
Table it. Table it. You?
May I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
Out of those 21 places that you had got prices from, how many are condominiums?
There are none condominiums.
Is there germane to the issue with the exception of outside events? You can focus on outside events, but you cannot say anything about the rest of that motion. This is a condominium. People pay money here.
Yeah, and you're saying
This is their common element.
I'm not saying they're going to wait
the debate. But I would, if I was this board, I would focus on outside events if you want to change any kind of pricing.
Yes.
Everything else belongs to unit owners.
Well, yes, they do.
Maintenance.
Any other questions? Any other discussion on this?
I have a question.
Who is that? Who is?
Barbara.
Barbara, go ahead, Barbara.
Yeah. You know, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I agree with everything except G, the outside events. First of all, do we have a committee that could meet on these things before we take a vote?
We put together, we sat down with the officers and the staff, and we came up with these numbers.
Okay, now the other thing I have a question about is these events must be catered by Hollybrook Restaurant.
Correct.
Now, is Hollybrook going to give a package deal? Because the restaurant is kind of pricey. So if you have people come in, you have 100 people and you're saying, are they going to offer them a less of a cost, a buffet? Or because if you're paying $1,000 and then you're asking each person to pay additional money?
Okay, well, you're talking about as far as an outside event coming in, they're gonna be directed to go to our food and beverage manager to work out any food and beverage. It's nothing to do with this motion.
Okay,
Involving our property here now is gonna go through our restaurant. If it's a catered sushi, whatever, that's gonna be all through the food and beverage manager.
yeah, because even here now, when we have something at the Playhouse, people are not going to the restaurant to spend $25, $30 for a meal, especially not at 7, 8 o'clock at night. Most people have eaten already.
Talking
And
about, this is
not about.
this is not food. You said that.
This has nothing to do with catering, and nothing to do with food. This is strictly about the rental price of our facility, the Playhouse or the social hall.
That's fine. It just says here, all events must be catered by Hollybrook. That's why.
It has to go to our food and beverage.
Okay.
If he doesn't make an agreement with them, then they don't use our facility.
Third time, this is it. And I move to postpone this until the November regular meeting when we have enough of our regular guests, our regular people back here, our regular board members to discuss this. This is too big an issue. It's a profitable issue. So I move to postpone this till the regular November meeting.
Second.
Point of information.
Motion to postpone is debatable. You can invite your board to debate this issue if you like. As long as they speak about the postponing.
The postponing of the motion, nothing else about the motion.
Correct.
All right, we have a postponement and a second, so discussion regarding postponing.
Yes, is the postponement, is your intent to form a group of people? And if that is your intent, is the president pick that committee?
And when the postponement be to the next regular board meeting, which is September?
It could be up to three months.
So he's asking for November, okay? Anybody else want to talk about
picking the
postponement?
To answer the question?
Right, you're asking?
Yeah, my question was.
Because I'm not an authority on this, so we'll figure it out as we go, so.
I move that we not, I am opposed to postponing this. I think this is the first step. I have no problem with the president selecting a committee to address the issues that have been raised. But I think it's important that we establish some guidelines, because otherwise we are still dealing with the past articles that we have been living with. And we're coming into a season. We should start where we're requiring. We now have a restaurateur who is willing to handle any and all types of food. So I would suggest start with this and have the president create a committee to deal with these other issues.
Joni, you got your.
Yeah. I also would vote against this motion to postpone. You know, one of my jobs is to think about the income that comes into Hollybrook, and raising these fees, even this amount, to me is a step in the right direction. I'm not opposed to a committee going forward, but I really would like to get this motion passed because, number one, it establishes much more clearly that the rental of our facilities requires a contract for food and beverage with our restaurant, which again increases our revenue. And number two, these new figures are an increase over what had been established prior. And to postpone it will give us so much more time for lost revenue. These numbers can be adjusted. And I think having a committee look at it is a good idea, but let's go forward immediately and rectify some of our old prices and old practices that gave people an opportunity to bring in their own food, which we don't want. So in my opinion, being financial secretary, let's move it forward, but that doesn't preclude having a committee. So for those reasons, I vote against postponement.
There's something you wanted to say, Myra?
I agree. Rosalie and Joni, I agree with both of you.
Wait a minute, Myra, you had your little hand up.
She said she agreed.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right.
That was Barbara.
All right, Brady?
I seconded, and I stick to my seconding. What Joni just said about the revenue.
We haven't gained any revenue to begin with, we're not losing anything. We got too much, it's too much debate, it's too much, you claim that you've gone out and gotten quotes from other places, and this is what you come up with. It'd be nice if you gave us some places you could talk to, how many places you actually talked to. Okay. We did all this investigation.
All right, all it took was a few minutes to make some phone calls, right? All right, William?
Humbly, I like to say what I heard was nobody made these numbers. We're experts in this world that we're talking about here. I would support this motion and not postpone it if you made a commitment to have a committee of experts that live here that are into event coordinating experts. How much Paul has done some real solid research. Commit to getting experts in a committee to create plans for going forward. I would support this motion. Otherwise, I'm gonna say no.
Okay. Any other, all right, Shelley, you had some?
I agree with Paul, and I think that we should go one step further and say that we have a committee, we give them a date. So we're talking about postponing to November. Why can we not keep approve what we have here with the stipulation that a committee will be formed, and in the next board meeting, we'll present a fee schedule based on the information that they gather.
Information.
Yes, sir.
It sounds like the motion to postpone is turning into a motion to refer to a committee.
So let's go, all right.
That would be up to the motion maker to postpone if he wants to retract.
There are two motions, a motion to postpone, and we making the side issue is that we are suggesting that the postponement is not what's needed. We want this to be enacted, and we want the president to form a committee. I think they're two separate matters.
Keep it to motions on the floor on May 1.
No, we don't.
You can't have two motions on.
Yeah. That's
Many people talking.
We
do have to act on the postpone.
have to act on the postponement.
Can I think?
Can I say something? I think
Had my, okay, I think we should vote on the motion. These are baby steps, and we all had to take baby steps before we could learn how to walk. I think this is an improvement from what we have already. There's another motion on here that's gonna improve the quality of our facilities. It's motion E. And I know we have, another thing in the works about getting new chairs for the Playhouse. So we are, maybe a lot of people don't know, we are making some steps to make improvements.
But we're only on about the postponement.
Yeah, that's all.
All right, so,
I
all right,
think
let's
we
have,
should
all right.
postpone.
I heard somebody say call the president on the vote out postponement, whether or not we're gonna postpone this motion to November board meeting.
I
So,
want to go to expert committee. I know the part here. Claude's not here.
call for
They want.
Yeah, this is
So, and they-
to November.
the motion to November. Shelley,
Same.
what?
Abstain, I believe.
Abstain?
Yeah.
Claude,
Yes,
Bonnie, Bonnie?
Yes, yes,
Yes to postpone. Rainey?
Yes.
Sue? Yes. Ally?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Joe?
No,
Curtis?
So.
Myra? Myra?
No.
Hank?
Yes.
Carl?
No.
William?
Yes.
Carmen? Brad?
No.
Jean?
Same.
Paul?
Yes.
Mike?
No.
Andy? Andy? You're muted.
No,
Joni?
No,
Rosalie? No. Elaine? No.
Cancel the fair. So the. Doesn't get postponed. We don't have a majority vote on it. So that's-
Yeah, we
So
have
what's next?
10 yeses, 10 noes, 2 abstentions.
So it's not postponed, it passed postponed, pass yes or no to postpone. You,
could you repeat the vote? I didn't hear that.
10 yes, 10 noes, 2 abstain.
Oh,
We do not have a passing vote to postpone. We do not have a passing vote not to postpone.
The motion is to postpone.
Right.
Motion to
So-
postpone?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a tie vote. The motion is to postpone.
Motion,
Can we take it over again?
so the motion passes even if it's a tie.
The motion did not pass. It's a tie.
Okay, so we're still moving on.
Yes.
Which way? We're back to talking about this motion now.
The motion is postponed.
Postpone. Okay, you just said it one way and you said it another. You're saying we don't have a majority rules here. We don't have a majority rule to
And
pass.
it's in the case of a tie,
It
the
passes.
nays have it.
So
The nays have it.
the nays have it. Okay, so this is postponed until November.
Right.
No.
no, no. If the nays have it, then it's not postponed.
Before we get our parliamentary, all right, so we're going on further discussion on the motion itself because it's not being postponed. That's what I said. All right, so we're going back to the discussion on this motion as is.
Call the question on the motion.
Call the question and we'll have a vote on the motion. All right, so here I'm gonna read it. Right, motion to abate fees and the index charges for use of common facilities. I move that the board approve updating the fees and the index of charges for use of common facilities as follows.
We can't.
4 Hollybrook units, Playhouse $500, Social Hall $200.
Point of order.
Yes, sir.
This motion is postponed.
No, it's, you just
You
said.
just said those got it.
You said the nays have it.
The names were not postponed. The names were not to postpone.
10 no's. I'm sorry.
Okay, so
We're
we're,
right.
all right, we're calling the question.
You're calling the question.
Calling the question.
Yeah.
All right. Where was I for unit Playhouse, Political office, Playhouse, $600, Social Hall, $300. For civic, fraternal, state or federal groups, organization, only if approved by the approval manager, Playhouse, $600, Social Hall, $250. For outside events, Playhouse, $1,000, Social Hall, $500. For deposit for the Social Hall, $250. Recording secretary, please call the vote, please on the vote.
There's no discussion. We'll just call another vote.
No
No,
discussion? I think we should have discussion.
Let's vote.
No, it's already been, it's been stated, we're voting yes or no to pass the motion as is.
Yes.
Okay, Shelley,
No.
Claude,
Abstain.
Connie,
no,
Rainey,
No.
Well, it just
made it 9, 10,
Same.
8. That takes.
Ally,
No.
Barbara,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Louise. Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
She's not here.
She's not here. Myra,
Yes.
Hank,
No,
Carl,
Yes. Yes.
William,
Abstain. Here it goes.
Harmon. Yeah. Brad,
Yes.
Jean. Jean,
Gene.
Barry,
What do you say?
Abstain.
Paul,
No.
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Joni.
Yes.
Yes. Blaine, yes.
Well, pass.
Six, 4.
Yeah, 11 to 6. Yes. Abstains.
4, 5,
That
and
is
8.
all.
I'm counting.
Abstains don't count.
Well,
They don't count.
12, 4, and 6. 12 yeses,
12 yeses,
6 noes.
6 noes, 4 abstain. Motion passes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. All right, motion C, local treasurer, please.
I move the board amend rule 9, section 3, fees to read as follows. Fees for security deposits related to identification cards and rules related to return of security deposits shall be determined by the board. Lessees renting on an annual basis and have resided in the same unit for 5 years or more may request that their security deposit be refunded in full, less the $25 processing fee, as long as the unit owner is a resident in good standing as defined in the rules definition.
Second. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, William. All right, do we have it?
This was originally passed by the board unanimously at a regular board meeting, April 10, 2013, as motion G. When the rules and regulations were restated in January 2019, rule was inadvertently omitted and needs to be restated.
Do we have any,
No.
letters regarding this? Okay,
If I could just address this, Mr. President.
yes, please.
This is a unit owner who is a long-term lessee who came to the records office and requested a deposit. This motion was passed, as it says here, in 2013. And it just was enacted. So it should be pro forma. We should be able to give her back the money as long as she's in good standing. And she is.
Any question? Yes, sir.
Okay, the reason we charge a $500 fee, so that unit of this is a leasing or?
It's a full-time, it's a year-round rental.
Okay, the reason we charge that $500 fee is to make sure we get that card back. Correct?
Card.
What card?
No, this is just a deposit. For
This is-
Or
She's been in the same unit for over 5 years.
The reference to damage deposit, if damage done to the property, that money would be used to offset the damage. And that's what.
I'm sorry for misunderstanding. That $500, when that person gives back, they give back something, right? Their resident card or whatever.
When she comes and renews when a lessee comes in and renews her lease on a yearly basis, she then gets issued a new card.
pays for new fee.
And now what's preventing that person, even though they're a good lessee, 5 year, what's preventing from
Paul, you're litigating the motion that was passed. This is a motion that was passed in 2013. All we're doing is permitting the appendices to reveal it. It's already in existence. We are just adding it so that it can be added to the appendices because it was inadvertently not put in there. Okay?
It was just left out.
All votes, all right, state the motion. Excuse me, motion to amend Rule 9, Section 3, Hollywood's Rules and Regulations, move that the board amend Rule 9, Section 3, fees. Read as follows: fees and security deposits related to identification cards and rules related to return of security deposits shall be determined by the board. Lessees renting on an annual basis and have resided in the same unit for 5 years or more may request that the security deposit be refunded in full, less the $25 processing fee, as long as the unit owner is a resident in good standing, as defined in rules definitions. Recording Secretary, could we call for a vote on this motion, please?
Shelley,
Yes.
Claude,
Yes.
Connie,
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Ally,
Yes.
Barbara.
Yes.
Okay. Joe,
Yes.
Curtis.
Yes.
Myra,
Yes.
Hank,
Yes.
Carl,
Absolutely.
William,
Yes.
Carmen, Brad,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Joni,
Yes.
Rosalie. Yes. Lane, yes. Motion passes unanimously.
Fastest motion ever. All right, motion D, Rosalie LeMay treasurer.
I move the board consider and approve the levying of fines and or suspensions regarding the following acts of noncompliance pertaining to the governing documents of the association. Docket 308, unregistered occupant. Marino.
I have a summary on that, and that's an unregistered occupant, whereas the occupants in this unit are lessees. Upon the expiration date of lease, a non-renewal of lease will be entered by the compliance operations. The unregistered occupant's driver's license has a Hollybrook address for one. On July 18, 2023, the maintenance supervisor went to the unit to investigate a water leak, and during the conversation with the occupant, the supervisor was told by this unregistered occupant that he was occupying the unit. Collaborated by the records department and the compliance officer.
307, harassment.
Okay, according to the incident report filed on July 26, 2023, a person who was a guest of the defendant approached the reporting security officer in the area of the defendant's unit and wanted to know why the officer was knocking on his door. Whereas it was after 10 p.m., the guest had a pickup truck parked at the unit. The officer informed the guest the designated area for overnight parking of pickups. At that point, the guest became agitated and reverted to using profane language at the security officer.
We need a second.
Second.
Okay. Florida statute 718-303, section 3A states as follows. The association may levy reasonable fines for the failure of the owner
of a unit or its occupant, lessee or invitee to comply with any provision of its governing documents. A fine may be levied by the board on the basis of each day of continuing violation with a single notice and an opportunity for a hearing before a committee as provided in paragraph B. The hearing committee is a committee of peers, members appointed by the board with no affiliation with board members or employees of the association. The mandate of the committee is to deliberate on all docket summaries, hear any defendant wishing to contest the decision of the board, and either confirm or reject the fine or suspension levied by the board.
Any discussion regarding these dockets being presented with? Any discussion? Move to vote. All right, state.
Can we take a voice vote on this? Yeah.
Voice votes. All right, you still need to state the motion. Motion to levy fines and suspensions for non-compliance with Hollybrook's governing documents. Move that the board consider and approve the levying of fine and or suspensions regarding the following acts of non-compliance pertaining to the governing document association. Docket 308. Excuse me. Unregistered occupant, 1 fine at $100. 307. Harassment, 1 fine at $100.
Point of information,
Point of information, yes, sir.
fines have to be approved one at a time. They can't be approved or
It can't be as a total, okay,
please
so,
do one at a time.
okay, docket 308, unregistered occupant, 1 at $100.
Days and nights.
All right, can we do, anybody opposed to a fine of $100 for the first unregistered occupant? Please say nay. Please say nay if you are opposed to the fine of $100. All right, unanimous. Docket 307, the fine of harassment, 1 fine of $100. Please say nay if opposed. And unanimous, it also passed. Motion D passes, both fines are passed. On to motion E. William Britton, phase 6 director.
Okay, motion to hire a contractor for termite fumigation of the playhouse, restaurant, social hall, golf pro shop, and recreation center. I move that the board approve a contract plan for termite fumigation of the combined playhouse, social hall, restaurant, golf pro shop, and recreation center structure. I further move to award this contract to Truly Nolan Company for the tent and gas fumigation of drywood termites at a cost of $49,200 to be funded from unallocated funds of the $140,000 from Schedule P of the 2023 budget.
Seconded.
Seconded by
Okay.
Mosley.
Now, the backup,
Do we have any, hold on, wait, any letters? Okay, go ahead, please, for the backup.
okay, the backup, the following bids are for the initial termite fumigation project as well as for an optional annual renewal. The cost for the optional annual renewal service will be allocated from next year's budget. Now, I'd like to do something a little different on the rep down below. Here, the pest control numbers are correct to their contracts. The Oregon Pest Control correct to the contract. Lucas proposal, I'm sorry, thanks. The Lucas is the same. The Truly Nolan is a little confusing. On this, on the backup, it says 49.2. Optional renewal is 59.04. Under the two Truly termite plan documents, one says 47.5, the other one says 55.2. One has a number of 7,700 for other charges. And so there's a disconnect in the initial contract price and the optional annual renewal of these 3 documents.
I like those.
Sure.
All right, yeah. So I put that spreadsheet together. This is Eric talking to general manager. I received 3 bids from Truly Nolan. The bids that I used on the spreadsheet was their middle bid. It wasn't the bid that's actually in that proposal. That's got the 55,200. So I also have bids from other companies that are right around that price that we're looking at. I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure that I'll be able to negotiate between Nolan to get them to accept the middle bid that they had given previously. I don't believe we're gonna have an issue with getting them to bring them. Based on the fact that we have other proposals that are very competitive with theirs. Normally, we can negotiate with them.
Okay.
I feel confident that I'm able to, if we go forward with the numbers that are on the proposal, that I'm able to get those to match, and they can bring their proposal.
Okay.
Okay, the question is, what happens if you can't negotiate and we've approved the contract?
Then I would. I don't sign the contract. Right, then if we could go with a secondary, and I don't know if you want to make that as part of a motion, I have no idea. Or we would go with a secondary choice, a second choice. I don't know, in the backup, can we do that, Q? If we have as a second.
Make it an optional?
Make the number.
That would have to come in the form of his
We've got, he's saying that we have three. For 49,200. 49,200 was the middle price.
47.5?
Just from, no, 49,200 was the middle one that I got.
I don't have that. I have 55.2 and 47.5.
Right, there is,
Then that has another charge of $7,700.
again, the bid, the proposal I have from them that I put on the bid analysis, I do have a proposal that matches.
It's not one of these.
No.
Okay.
It's only have two. I have my own, I have the bid that they gave. So the backup, that's what made it confusing for me, because I had so many different versions of their proposal.
Question.
Backup bid, yes.
And analyzing this prior, it's, since they're all using the same chemicals and the warranty is a 1 year between all, of them, for me, it becomes a price issue. They're gonna tent this place and they're gonna spray a bunch of chemical in here and gotta remove the food and that's it, and they leave. And the 1 year contract is they come back and fix it and spray that area again. Both of them say the same thing. So the 50 Lucas Pest Control at 55,900, 55,990. There's a difference, and that's with the inspection. I added that in. And
Just one renewal or like 5 year? Because we basically said we're gonna do it for 5 years. We kind of extrapolate what that cost would be to see that Owen came out best in the long run with a reduced cost. Their renewal was much less.
Oh.
so the difference is $6,335
For the 1 year.
no, I'm talking about if I add I'm just looking at the contract stated, not what the consequence of 5 years is. $55,200 plus $71.25 from Truly is $6,335 more than Lucas.
But it's 5904. We don't have that.
One second,
That's a
wait, excuse me. I'm going by the contract, not by the evaluation. The proposal to be a contract, that is correct. So again, from my experience, it's about price and price alone for the amount of time, which is a 1 year contract. If you're interjecting a 5 year statement, which I hear you saying that we do better over. I'd like, what is the, over the 5 years, what is the breakdown, where's the savings? Here's 6335. Can you explain that better savings?
Yeah, I'm saying that the renewal cost, which will be known is lower than the other renewal costs. I've got 88 on Lucas, I've got 10.5 for Oregon, 7.7 for Florida.
So you're assuming that if it's in a year, okay, we get this done. And then they're going on for 5 years and every year we're gonna pay another whatever the extra is. But from my experience, when they spray these things down. After the year, they're gonna show up or they're not. It's kind of like it's not necessary to go 5 years on this type of a service. Okay, I think that we should consider a 1 year only and work off that.
It's optional.
Yes, I understand it's optional, but he's making the point that we'd be better off over 5 years. When in fact, if it's gonna cure it, and it'll last 5 years anyway. So you may be right in your analysis over 5, but I think it's moot. Because from my experience with these types of constructions, corrections for pesticides. They're just spraying the same chemical in, they're gonna tempt it the same way. It's gonna work. If it doesn't work, they'll come back, they'll fix it with 1 year, no charge. And it'll be good for 4 or 5 years. And all we're doing is paying more money that we shouldn't be paying. For instance, when was the last time we had this building sprayed? 10, 20, never? So, you gotta look at it like, we don't really need to worry about 5 years. I think we just concentrate on the 1 year. That's my humble opinion. And then we'll go with Lucas Pest.
Alec, can I ask a question of you, Alec? If you're awake, Alec? Alex, are you there?
Get it, Alex.
You see him?
I can see the.
No, I thought you were saying Alec.
Alex, who do we have a contract with right now for fumigation, for pest control?
We don't have fumigation for termites. We have for the Orkin,
We have
pest
a
control.
working for pest control.
Yes,
Expensive.
Okay, so we have it just for spraying and for. our-
yeah, it's the same. So the 80.
All right, so they're the highest, so that's why we're not considering them. All right, so. So that's-
Lucas is their best bet.
all right.
They're the cheapest and with a 1-year warranty. And we have one inspection after that, which will go for 2 years.
So the other thing, just to be aware, when I was dealing with the contractors.
Yeah.
Lucas was not the most responsive, so their contract is 1 page, or their proposal is 1 page.
Yes.
Everybody else had a lot more substantial proposals. And so usually I'm looking at what the highest cost is and the people that I want to be able to do this. That I can relate to and that are relatable and good business.
In reference to having a lot of verbiage on a contract, I would say that would be taken up with calling the last 3 or 4 customers and see if the service end worked out. Because I don't want to give up $6,300 because it's a 1 year here, it's a 1 year here. And it's saying the same thing. It's a lot of words, but in the end, it's still a 1-year guarantee.
Well, what we're saying is that it's only a $2,000 difference between Lucas and Truly Nolan.
No, with the,
No, I'm just saying, you're saying the cost of doing the spraying, the fumigation. We have Truly Nolan 49.2, Lucas at 47.1, and you have the fumigation as sulfurylchloride. Need to verify from Lucas because we weren't able to get it. We have Bicane from.
It's the same thing.
I'm just saying, so the difference between Truly Nolan and Lucas is only $2,000 between the two right now. And you wanted, that we have one that we feel more confident with because they're being responsive to us. And if they can't do it, then we fall back onto the other one and we save $2,010.
that would be fine, except for the difference is $6,335.
We're not even talking about the yearly renewal.
I know, but we're talking about total amount of money expenditure. Okay, over the 2-year period, and the analysis that I've done is that it's a $6,335 difference, because you're gonna order the inspection. And you have to add that to the original cost.
So
And
you're
you
saying
add that,
47 and 88 is cheaper than 49 and 59?
I'm saying when I added them up,
47, 190,
there was a
and
difference.
8800.
The Lucas is a better deal by $6,335 if you use the optional annual renewal. If you don't, you are 100% right, but you're adding on that option.
Here's the problem. We don't have the one that Eric's talking about that shows 49.2 and 59.04. If we had that contract, then this it would only be a $2,000 difference. That's where the confusion comes in, because we don't have this paper.
Oh, I'm just going off what was given to me, which is Lucas and Truly, and you may be very well right, but I don't have that information.
I'm just
So I
going
can-
off,
I'm-
I'm just going off the numbers that
Okay.
our general manager
Yeah,
is accumulating here.
Right.
So I'm just saying, if we can't get this number for Truly Nolan, then we have Lucas as our backup but we need to get it done.
Oh, of course.
We need to get it done right.
Absolutely.
And whether or not we have a renewal is what we have to evaluate. That'll be next year. We're just dealing with this. Let's get it done so we can move forward before the season.
The only, if you get a commitment, I would recommend getting a commitment that the renewal must stay at the same rate, even though we order it later by both companies or by whatever company we choose.
Well, I think we'll be able to do that. I'm just saying at this point, if we can get
A
it.
couple $1,000, I have no problem. For
We get
6,
this passed, and then we can't get Truly Nolan to match the numbers, we fall back to Lucas and we use what you said, the cheapest one, as far as the lesser price.
Sounds good.
Okay, so.
Can I ask a question?
Truly says their annual renewal is prepaid. I don't see anything about Lucas. That may not allow you to do that, and I
figure it out.
I agree with Brad. Remember, once you take the 10 off, the termites can come right back in, the gas is gone. it takes many years for a colony to get big enough to be flying all over the place. So the annual renewal is not worth it.
Well, and what we're worried about the most is the fact that we're having the building itself, we're having the termites that are eating the wood. It's
Yeah,
not
it's gotta be
flying, it's
done.
not even the flying termites that we're really worried about.
Well, according to them, they're telling you it's drywood termites, but that'll work. If it's subterranean termites, it will not
We've
work.
already treated a building for subterranean. Yes, we've already treated it for subs, so we've already treated the building for sub. And they came out with the best. Paul,
Any dates, according to this, when we start, when it's finished?
we've got a start date commitment from them on the 14th of Monday, the 14th of August.
And finishing?
4 days. 3 to 4 days.
4 days at the most. 4 days.
And that's basically, we already shut down on Monday, the golf course for work on the golf course on the 14th. Yeah. Shut down. And we would have to work around having the golf course open on Tuesday and Wednesday, the restaurant, whether or not we would have any food offered during that time. We don't think so because we have to be 100 feet away from the building. So we tried to come up with some ulterior methods to provide, so they had food at the barbecue, but we can't be within 100 feet of the building. It's gonna be probably ran out of the administration office. Golf operations are gonna be out of the admin building instead of over here at all. Just the 2 days that we're open. Yes,
I have a question
Thank you.
about Vicane gas creates a residue. And so what are they doing about the food that's in the refrigerator, et cetera?
food refrigerator has to be removed.
Be totally removed?
Yeah.
Okay,
So we have a checklist of things.
okay, fair enough.
We have until the 14th, till they actually start to get everything done that we need to get done. And then we're gonna be meeting with them on Friday or Monday. We're gonna meet with them Monday morning. So that we have the checklist. Hank, you had your hand up, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd just like a clarification on what is meant by optional annual renewal. Someone mentioned that the renewal is built into the price structure in one of the quotes, and that's not optional as far as I'm concerned. And what is involved as far as the renewal? Is it a visual inspection? And at that point, they determine whether or not it needs further treatment or additional treatment?
It's an inspection, yes. That'll be determined whether or not it needs additional treatment.
Okay, now the additional treatment, is that covered under the renewal? Or is it a separate charge once again?
It's part of the warranty, that's what we pay, we would pay that fee if we want to have that.
So in other words, if we paid, hypothetically, if we used Truly Nolan and we paid the 5904, okay, that they're asking for, and they came and inspected the premises and found that it was an issue, then we wouldn't have to pay any additional funds for resurfacing that particular issue?
Correct, that's part of the warrant, that would be the warranty.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so I understand that having numbers and having solid numbers, very, very important, trust me, and that's why we work very hard to get as much information out as possible, so please bear with us. Any other question?
Wait. I'm still not clear how we're going to deal with the fact that we've got 3 different quotes.
If we can't get the price that we're voting on, it's Truly Nolan, then we'll go to Lucas Pest Control. I'm not gonna sign a contract if they're not willing to honor the numbers they gave us.
Well, the motion needs to be amended then accordingly.
The motion has to be amended. All right, so you're saying we can't have a backup, it has to add.
Yeah, we can have a
We
backup,
have
but
to
the
have
motion
voting
needs to be
backup.
amended.
Right?
You have to amend the motion to.
Yeah.
So I guess
It's a friendly amendment, if you want to put it in those words.
All right, so you're, what's a friendly amendment to add as a backup to the Truly
In the
Nolan
event that the
we-
contract price is not accepted by the awarded bidder, that the second bidder, Lucas Pest Control, would Lucas Pest Control would be awarded the contract.
Rainey's gonna make that motion. Yeah. To the friendly amendment to motion, add those words. All right, we're adding that if the,
Oh.
okay, all right, so we're gonna vote on the amendment to the motion. We have to vote on it first, make sure that we're gonna add this wording. All right, the amended motion would read, I move that the board approve a contract plan for termite fumigation of combined playhouse, social hall, restaurant, golf pro shop, recreation center structures. Further move to award the contract to Truly Nolan Company for the tent and gas fumigation of drywood termites at a cost of $49,200 to be funded from unallocated funds of $140,000 from Schedule P of the 2022 budget. In the event that the contract price is not accepted by the awarded company, that contract would be then awarded to Lucas Pest Control.
At the cost of,
At
at the cost of,
$1,190.
thank you.
Pest Control. All right, so, Madam.
We do nays?
Secretary, can we vote on just the amended words?
Nays?
All right, are there any nays? Are there any nays?
You can't.
We have to vote on this. We have to vote.
No, you don't have to vote. You can ask for a voice vote.
All right, voice vote on this, just the amended words. Is anybody opposed to adding these words to this motion? Not hearing any nays, the amendment will pass. So now we will reread the motion and we will have a vote on the motion as amended. Move that the board approve a contract plan for termite fumigation of combined playhouse, social hall, restaurant, golf pro shop, recreation center structures. I further move to award this contract to Truly Nolan Company for the tent and gas fumigation of drywood termites, I get it in, at a cost of $49,200 to be funded from unallocated funds by $140,000 from Schedule P, the 2022 budget. If the contract price is not accepted by the awarded company, that contract would be awarded to Lucas Pest Control at a cost of $47,190. Anybody opposed, say nay.
No, I think, Mike, on this one, I think you need an actual vote. It's a contract, so I would suggest to you, we need to vote on that.
We're gonna have a motion, we're gonna have to vote on. Okay, I'm getting tired. Folks. Okay, so, all right, recording secretary, would you call for a vote, please?
Shelley,
Yes.
Claude,
Yes,
Connie,
Yes.
Rainey,
Yes.
Sue.
Yes.
Ally,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Curtis,
Yes.
Myra,
Yes.
Hank.
Yes.
Rebuild this kitchen.
Carl,
Yes.
William,
Yes.
Carmen,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Rosalie. Yes. Elaine, yes.
All right, motion passes unanimously.
Yay.
Thank you very much.
Yay and an A.
No, we're on to, yeah, the unit owners forum. Do we have anybody that wanted to have their 3 minutes or something?
Okay, no,
Or client, like, anybody signed up?
I don't think so.
All right. All right, wait a minute, suggestion. Hold on, we're just unit on forum, right? We don't have anybody units. All right, so now we're on director forum. All right, we're gonna start.
Suggestion, Mr. President?
Yeah.
We always go phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Why don't we consider, I'm not saying tonight, but think of another process where does anybody have anything to say? Let's say 2 people raise their hand. We have a 30-minute forum. You can have 15 minutes, you take 5, and you can have some dialogue from the other directors. Wouldn't that be more collaborative and more learning opportunity and giving feedback and stuff? So
Well, I think what we're trying to do here is give everybody an opportunity to say what is on their mind and the director's forum. All right, we're recording that. All right, with our recording secretary. So everything you're gonna comment on is gonna be recorded and part of the minutes for the next meeting. Just like anything that's said by any of our unit owners, it's not just thrown out and never discussed again. We put it in the right direction and we use it under the try to put it into the right hands as to trying to come up with solutions or answers to our unit owners' questions. All right, so what you want to have is a 30-minute discussion rather than just go around and just, I'm just going around the room and I'm not gonna go, I'm just gonna go around the table. I'm gonna go look at the people that are on the screen here, if they have something they want to say. Okay, so, and then we'll go from there. Okay. All right, so I will start over here. You had your hand up. William, you want to start?
I just wanted to sometimes we just say little things like the dinner was good at the restaurant yet last week. Well, that's not what the intent of this discussion should be. Okay, so that's why I wanted to get us some more productive dialogue so we can have some feedback. I say something, then Sue can comment on it and give me some feedback. And then somebody online can say, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's talk about this another time. That's the idea. But anyway.
When it's not already 9:46 and 9.
I understand.
I'm just saying, okay, for this, because maybe somebody at home needs to know that the dinner tonight was really good. Okay, some of the things, not everything that has to be said has to have content. It doesn't just have to be something that people need to hear, that we're out here trying to do our best for our residents and for our fellow owners of Hollywood. All right, so, all right, Brad, you're next.
Southern Certified, we had spoken about this, not to have a long discussion. I'm just wondering if the lawsuit has been settled.
It is not. It has not been settled. Carmen?
Okay, I was requested by residents to read this, and this is just a synopsis of what they actually just said.
Can't hear.
You gotta talk louder, Carmen. You gotta talk louder.
All right. It's very short. I have been requested by residents to speak regarding the condition of some of our buildings. We cannot currently hose the walls and catwalks, a service that was provided to us from ASI has been discontinued. Now we have dirt, animal droppings, grime, construction workers tracking cement, mud from rain, dust, shoes, etc. I recommend that we return this service that we are paying for at least twice or once a month. In reference to some building spotted with dust, dirt, mold, stating that they cannot be pressure cleaned because the paint will come off. Why not try to low pressure clean them? I understand that sprayed at a required distance will minimize the paint peeling. If some paint does peel and spot paint the wall, this would be better than the soil and grime that these residents have to live with. Believe me, I got a lot of complaints. I feel that this would make up for the fact that we should not paint since we have the 40-year inspection pending. This may be another 2 or 3 or 4 years in the future. Something needs to be done to provide us with buildings that are clean, safe, and a healthy environment for us, the residents.
Thank you, Carl.
Can I just
there was a statement that was made in here that says that the service part from ASI has been discontinued. That is not true. Is it?
Yes, it is true. They're not.
That part of the service. That part of the service. Oh, but they're, okay, well, they're still hired by us.
It's the whole thing of the war. So why are we paying them so much money if they're not doing a complete job? They should hold those walls and let that go. It needs to be cleaned with water, not just a broom.
Okay, thank you. All right, okay, that was sort of whatever. Okay, I just want to thank our new resident, Dion Falconer, for and welcoming her to Hollybrook and for hanging in here for this whole meeting. Yeah, thank you.
Good, all right. Rainey?
Yes. We spent an hour and 45 minutes on 2 motions this evening. And I said it before, and I'm gonna say it again until it gets into people's heads. When we had directed forums, a lot of this stuff was hashed out before. We didn't spend 2 and 3 and 3.5 and 3 3/4 hours for a meeting. It's totally ridiculous. And it's time for somebody to wake up and do what's right. Get us back to somewhere where we can discuss this before the meeting, a couple of weeks before. You give us this package 48 hours before the meeting. You want us to comprehend and be here and be able to give an honest vote on something. The second thing, what's going on with the roof of the admin building? Academia was supposed to be vetted. It was good company, all this stuff showed up perfect. I've gone by there, I don't know how many times on days where it's perfectly sunny, there's nobody working on the roof. We've had leaks in there. I guess there was more leaks again. I mean, any roofing company work that saw knows that if you get rain coming in, you cover what you have. All the asphalt paper up there is totally open. It's directly to sunlight. There's no covering on it. There's nothing. What kind of a kindergarten company is this?
Good.
What happened with Paul Bain?
Their price was first off much higher. We gave them the chance to bid on the admin building. That was the first thing. We went by the fact that academia has been put on notice. Absolutely. We talked to them multiple times regarding the situation. And it's not gone unnoticed that they're not being very expediting in the work. So as to whether or not we will use them for any future references, I can't tell you that we will. I mean, I'm not happy with what's going on. My office is one of the ones that's getting wet. Okay, so trust me, we're not happy with the way it's been working.
You know, cheapest does not give us the best. And many.
Well, Sue, do you have anything?
Yeah, we just had the catwalks power washed, and I mean, pavers are an investment. I mean, they're higher, it's a higher end thing in concrete. I would like to see us go back to sealing them, because I just think it gives it a nice look, and it protects them, and it just looks so much nicer.
You've had your pressure wash. You've had your.
I was just pressure wash.
Yeah, not everybody has had theirs.
I was also.
Yeah, so it just depends. It's in a process as to getting around to pressure washing. Not all of them can be done at the same time, but sealing them and trying to protect them, yes, it can definitely be looked at.
Can I say something about the pressure wash?
Yes.
Some of the pressure washer on our catwalk, you look at it very carefully on the pavers. Some of the sand or whatever it was in between is gone. So
in between, so
you probably could have floater.
we need to have them resanded and sealed.
All that is a work order, so we can say that.
All right, Curtis, anything? Anybody on Zoom?
You passed me by,
I'm
but you
sorry.
can go to Zoom and come back.
I thought I looked over and you weren't.
No, you call William.
Shelley.
I just want to say, in reading The Voice of Hollybrook, the people who put it together this month, it was a huge improvement in the transferring of information to residents. I thought it was very rich, and it was the best that I've seen in many, many years. as far as the content. So I just want to,
And that's available online to everybody. It's, the hard copy is coming this week. So, it's online, the Voice of Hollywood for the August edition.
great job.
Thank you for that. Anybody else on Zoom? Paul Tripodi, please.
Okay.
Going.
Yeah, hi, that's good. Claude? I gotta wait to come around. Claude, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, eventually, if the committee is ever formed, you know what I have, right? The strategic plan, where you have the answer to everything that we were talking about for over an hour. I will get that in. I didn't get a chance tonight, apologize. Little does anybody know that you had the answer with your committee, okay? I'll try to get that in.
That was a long time ago.
One last comment.
Yeah, but it's applicable today, and so is the research, and so is your committee, and the answer is there. Thank you.
Right, nobody else on
One quick comment. If the ASI, they stopped washing the catwalks because somebody told me there was ponding and that was bad for rebar. That's a nonsensical argument. And even if it were the case that we had ponding, you should be able to afford a squeegee to remove the water and accomplish pressure washing the dirt off catwalks.
let's give our general manager an opportunity to delve into. Because he's been looking at our contract. We've already ran into Starlong problem. We've already addressed Starlong's contract that Rosalie,
Yes.
Joni,
I'm good.
all right, Andy. Good, all right. Elaine. All right, well, I'm gonna bring up some because the fact that we met with Banco Popular this week, and we got a very, very good report from them as to they're wanting to work with Hollybrook and give us what we need to move forward with all of the projects that we have. They've given us tentative approval on a $5 million line of credit. And that will be brought to a special board meeting to pass that, which will then most likely incur a owner assessment vote. We'll have to, if we pass and accept the offer they make, the actual contract would not go in until September. And then we would have an owner vote to vote on the actual numbers that we come up with as the assessment and the length of time to pay the assessment. Okay, so $5 million is going to be used. 6.75 is what it is. Great. For $1 million for our insurance that we're going to be shortfall. We have 18 roofs that our insurance company has identified that need to be replaced now. That's at a cost of around $2 million. We have our construction that we have to do for a 40-year, which you already know is approximately $500,000 for the 3 buildings. But we also want to move forward with, as soon as we get the Batista report and the diagrams on our buildings, that we have the other 57 buildings that we have to move forward on. That is we're looking at, and so I'm getting that out there to the owners so they understand now that this is going to be a discussion. It's going to come out to a unit owner vote, and so all the information will be provided. We'll have discussions, town halls, whatever we need to make sure that everybody's questions are answered regarding the need for this line of credit money. All right, so William.
When you do the unit owner vote, let's step back strategically and add a couple of things in it potentially. For example, because it takes money and effort to get that unit owner vote. Well, why don't we think about putting something like, would you approve us adjusting the color outside of our buildings? You can't.
The problem we have with that is that if you're going to have a multi-level vote for multi-level, we're talking about just to pay the assessment to pay for a $5 million line of credit. It's all we're going to be able to. We can have another unit vote on a different item on a different day or a different topic about color, about all that kind of stuff, but you can't do a multi-level vote vote yes for one, no for two, no, yes for three. It's about the assessment to
Okay.
cover.
You say you can't do that.
$5 million line spread.
Mike,
Yeah,
along the same lines,
I'm sorry, hold on. Hold on a second, Claude.
I'm just wondering how long period of time is that going to?
That's what we're yet to determine. Okay, it's either strict payment or over a payment plan. We have to come up with some exact numbers. All right, Claude, what was your question?
yeah, along the same lines, and thank you for this information. There's of course another big piece to this. And that has to do with the reserve requirements. So where are we in terms of the reserve study that we need to do to move forward with this? Have we identified someone to, a contractor to do that? And where are we in that respect?
Reached out to, we have one to do the reserve study. To the second. We want to have choices, but we also are still trying to get future clarification on these Senate bills that one says as long as we start filling our reserves next year, that we have until the following year to worry about being fully funded. So and unfortunately, you know as well as anybody, when a lawyer makes an assessment of what a law says, it can go many different directions. It's how the interpretation. So we're trying to make sure that we do not throw any numbers out. This number of $5 million is what we need. And when we have better for our reserve studies and we have an idea of when we need to be fully funded or when working towards that number, we will have an idea when we come up to budget in January.
Thank you.
Have our budget talk. All right, folks. Well, I'm sorry to keep you. I know it's late. Everybody, I appreciate you being here. And all right, thank you all very much at home. All right, thank you all. Meeting's adjourned.